Bengals Browns preview coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ.
I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I got to get your top 5 receivers. Better, man.
It was good. Watch out for us.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace. He's Zim. Zimmy. It's Browns week. It's time to get into the Battle of Ohio. We had a preview show planned for you guys coming up. Zim, how you feeling so far, bro? You don't look excited. You kind of giving me them Jamar Chase vibes. It's Cleveland. Is Cleveland just Cleveland? That's what it is?
Bro, I'm convinced Browns fans wear fake Jordans. I don't even really have like a real thought. Like I don't even know. Like it's been fun, talking ball, but
For sure.
what are we doing here? Like these people are crazy, dog. This is wild times. I'm very excited for the season, though. I can tell you that. Very excited for the season. So I'm pumped about that. We got football tonight. We're taping this live Thursday night, opening night football. So let's get it.
Yeah, I had to put the Odell Thurman on tonight because apparently Bengals fans just showed up when Joe Burrow got here, according to Browns fans. We just showed up. But kicking things off, we're going to be talking about the Browns. So we're going to give you guys our full game preview on that. So stay tuned for that. So we'll get into the X's and O's. And then we'll talk about, obviously, the number one trending topic in the jungle right now, Joe Burrow's contract. Will it get done before the season starts? We'll talk about that. And then if you're into Vegas or if you're into betting this weekend, we'll get into some of the picks that we like for the bets this Sunday coming up next. Right, Rap Sheet reported that there is growing optimism a deal gets done before kickoff on Sunday. Let's see what Joey B had to say to the media Wednesday about his contract.
This is where I want to be my whole career. We're working towards making that happen. You've seen what the front office has done and what Zach has done in their time here, and I'm a small part of that. And, I'm excited to be a part of that. And we have great people in the locker room that grind every day, that, are excited to go and showcase their talents and excited to do it in the city of Cincinnati. We have the best fans. And so this is where I want to be.
Joey B, this is where I want to be my whole career, and we're working towards making that happen. Sova said that is the most important quote, I think, in this franchise's history. What are your thoughts on Joey B making that statement, and how do we get a deal done before the season starts?
I think his deal gets done, like no question. I don't know. Maybe I am. I'm super homered out, like super biased. Like I think it gets done. It's the T1, man. That's the one. But Burrow though, I just think, my heart of hearts makes me feel like they're going through like the last little bits. Took care of the Bosa one, got that out the way. If you notice how that was handled, kind of like a sit-out type of situation versus the Burrow one, it's just a lot smoother. Things that he's saying behind the scenes. I didn't catch the beginning of that presser. Did he say at any point, or somebody asked him too many questions about the contract and he was like, I want to move on? I didn't see that part. Do you know?
I'm not sure. I don't think I don't think he ran away from it because I think he kind of answered it there. He didn't run from anything. I think Joey B in Cincinnati is a done deal. I think we're just probably hashing out the last little bit of details on the contract. I think it's clear that he wants to be here. I think the terms will be interesting, but I expect him to be the highest paid player in the NFL when it gets announced. No surprises there, in my opinion. This is where he wants to be his whole career. Just think back to before the Bengals took Joe Burrow. There was a lot of people in the media saying he should go to Miami and be with the Dolphins. This was the wrong franchise for him. Carson Palmer couldn't get it done. They can't get it done right. Now he wants to stay here. The culture has changed. He loves the fans. He loves the organization. Gives kudos to the front office all the time. Like, so many people talk about the Bengals and being cheap and all of that. But whenever you hear Joe Burrow talk about this franchise, it's clear that he's a fan of what Duke Tobin is doing. It's clear that he's a fan of the roster building. It's clear that he's a fan of the draft. And he clearly has that input and wants to spend his career here. So that is something that I think the people in the division and the rest of the NFL did not want to hear. So get used to the Cincinnati Bengals. Get used to number 9 in that jersey. And I think that we get it done here within the next couple of days. I think that's the sense that everybody has right before kickoff or a day before kickoff. Whenever it happens, we just know that that deal is definitely going to get done. So number 9 for your whole career, for the whole next decade. Like I told y'all when he got drafted, you're going to have to deal with Joe Burrow for the next decade. Get used to the Bengals, get used to Wincinnati, and get used to the Bengals running it up. Let's get it. So let's also talk about Ja'Marr Chase. You can't talk about Burrow without mentioning Chase. He has some comments today. He says that he doesn't really care. Whoever is in front of me, they got to get it. What are your thoughts on Ja'Marr Chase's approach to this game and his comments that he said earlier today?
He said a lot. He said, bro, I almost was going to call them the L's. We've heard shout out to Mama T, call them Third Nation. I feel like this is like, this is a funny first week or opening week of football. Like, I just don't remember. Like, I'm having fun, man. And I think like Ja'Marr is like, he told a story about how he was too hyped in the championship game when he was in college going up against Clemson, and his coach had to calm him down. He said, I know what to expect now. So I just think it's one of them things, man. I'm on the same wave as him where I'm really focused on, trying to do what we could do to contribute to the Bengals community and being able to focus on like, hey, like this is what we need to have this ready when we get here. We need to have this ready when we get here because the Browns is just a speed bump on the whole obstacle course. When the schedule came out, nobody was saying, oh man, those Browns might stop us from winning a Super Bowl. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's like, these are the games that you got to play, lock in. I think he was talking about being focused. He had a lot of different good comments, I thought. He had some funny stuff in there, too, that I'm pretty sure they'll grab and try to bookmark as well. I don't know if you heard Newsom's comments where he said that he's taking receipts, stuff like that, like stuff that, like, okay, we don't care. Ja'Marr Chase is a generational talent. You're just a pretty good starting cornerback in the National Football League. Big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like Ja'Marr was wrong in saying what he said about Newsom. Like at that point, like I don't think anybody would have Newsom at that point when he said it as like a top 10 corner. I don't think they have him as a top 10 corner now.
Is he talking about last year?
Yeah, this was last year. And he was like, he called Denzel Ward, I believe, elite. And he was like, yeah, Newsom hasn't done enough to really earn that. So I honestly don't think Ja'Marr Chase was wrong. I don't know what
he still hasn't done enough to deserve being called elite.
Yeah, it's on site. Whenever we see them boys, it's on site. We'll see. I mean, right now he's playing in the slot. So how much of Ja'Marr Chase is he going to see unless Denzel Ward isn't in the game, which, obviously, according to the injury report, still on there for the concussion.
Speaking of the injury report, one person to keep an eye on is the Juan Thornhill one. He didn't practice. That's one that I think a lot of people haven't talked about at all. But we're talking about the secondary. That's a key component of this whole thing, and he didn't practice. So that's
we talked about Denzel Ward. He was listed as limited, like you said. Juan Thornhill did not practice. Don't want to go up against a Bengals wide receiving core with some guys not in there. That's kind of dangerous. We'll see. But if Denzel Ward is there, I don't think
is that Denzel?
We're worried. I don't think we're worried about Denzel. He's obviously a good corner, but I think Ja'Marr Chase proved the last time that they played, that he was able to get the best of them. Obviously, that's going to always be a little battle. They kind of had the back and forth last season. So, I think you're right. Missing 2 contributors out of that secondary is going to hurt them. But flipping things over into the offensive side with Cleveland, what version of Deshaun Watson are we going to see? Because I said it in Spaces earlier. I'm like, you'd be foolish right now to think that 2020 Deshaun Watson is coming through that door based off of what we saw last year. And I was corrected last year saying that I thought Deshaun Watson would return to form eventually. He did not return to form. He regressed. He was bad against cover two. He was bad against everything. When you look at every metric, he pretty much was bad at everything. I don't think we're going to get Deshaun Watson that's that bad, but we're definitely not getting 2020 Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. I think you're going to get something in between them. I don't think that he's ready for Lou Anarumo. I really don't think that he's ready for that. He had some turnovers. He was a little shaky. He kind of set himself up. He said it's going to be fireworks, man. So fireworks is a little crazy. I know that the Bengals probably heard that. I know that Lou Anarumo probably heard that. So I don't think we're getting fireworks, man. I think it's going. I don't know. I don't see fireworks happening. What about you, bro?
I just don't know that Deshaun Watson early in the season. I went back and I watched some of that the last time we played them with Deshaun Watson. And I thought a lot of times he was waiting to throw guys like or guys to be open, whereas Joe Burrow on the opposite end was throwing guys open. And I think that that's a big challenge if you're going to be able to be on point and be able to beat this Lou Anarumo defense or whatever. You gotta be on point. You gotta be like the ball's gotta be out. You can't second guess. And if you don't see it and you start to try to improvise, it works in the favor of the Bengals defense. And that's the part that nobody's really telling these people. So like I feel like some defenses he can get away with some of that stuff. I thought like the couple times when it was called for him to be super, super accurate or get off script, that's the Jesse Bates pick. He had another one where a guy was wide open, overthrows him. And it's not just in our game either. There are other games where you're looking at him and just saying like the ball's off target. You saw the practice this all season or whatever. I think it's a lot of pressure on him. I think there's a lot of different people that are just banking on him to be something that maybe he may never be again. We see that happen a lot in the NFL. Like Carson Wentz had some seasons where people were ready to say that was a top 3 quarterback. It's a quick, it can happen quick sometimes, and sometimes people don't want to accept that. But we'll see. They keep on telling us Deshaun Watson might return to 2020 form. 2020 form had a lot of garbage time in it too. 2020 form had a lot of like BS like type of padded stats in there as well too. So even if he were to return to 2020, I don't know if that's good enough to get you where you want to go. I know that Joe Burrow in 2020, even in the games that they want to bring up as far as like the Bengals losing in those games, imagine Joe Burrow going back to 2020 form. What is that, 300-something yards the first time we saw you, 400 yards the next time? So you already know who I am. Like the variables are on that side. And I think a lot of times people are like, yeah, how are we going to deal with Myles Garrett? How are we going, and those are fair questions. Mm-hmm. I think that they have a lot more questions that they have to answer on their side to stop the defending AFC North champion. That's just me.
I agree with you, man. I mean, we talked about it earlier. The last time the Bengals played the Browns and won, Myles Garrett had 2 sacks. So a lot of this talk is going to be about Myles Garrett. The Bengals have been able to win a game against the Browns with Myles Garrett still doing this thing. But let's talk about some of the matchups that we like the most when the Bengals are on defense. Me personally, as much as they love their offensive line over there in Cleveland, I think 2 of them for me are going to be Trey Hendrickson versus Jedrick Wills. I think he can definitely wreak some havoc over there against Jedrick Wills. And then DJ Reader. I'm staying in the trenches. DJ Reader was a single-man wrecking ball in this game last year. Big reason why Nick Chubb had 2.4 yards per carry last year. Yeah, it was nasty. So I think for me, I still love those matchups for us. Are those the matchups that you like, or is there anything in addition that you also like in terms of us matching up with their offense on defense?
With the Bengals offense and the Browns defense. The Bengals defense.
Yeah.
The Bengals defense, I think Mike Hilton, as much as we think about him being somewhat of a liability in coverage, I'm looking for him to be one of the best run, stopping slot corners in football, if not the best. Like that's a matchup I need Mike Hilton to be able to do what he does early on. And I think that's a big, I thought he was big in that game. Like I said, I rewatched the game the other day. He was huge in that game. That Titans game against Derrick Henry. So I'm really looking for, are they going to be able to get a body on him? Because you don't really know when he's going to bring those. And then you got this chess match of the Bengals being able to just, maybe this is the totality of this. Are the Bengals going to be able to have 6 guys in the box instead of 7 or even craziness 8, right? But are they going to be able to have 6 there and be able to limit Nick Chubb to like 4 yards a carry? That's the crazy thing to me about everybody saying, man, Deshaun Watson coming back to whatever. In my mind, if I'm a Browns fan, I pride myself in the offensive line in the run game. Anything, all that Deshaun Watson talk to me is like for Sports Center. Your team is really predicated through Nick Chubb running the ball efficiently at a high clip as one of the best pure runners in football. And then getting out to a lead, because in 2022, they were 5th in first quarter points in the National Football League. So they're not slouches on getting out on teams and controlling the clock and then getting your opponent behind. So guys like Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith can go and take, go and go pin their ears back. So like if the Bengals are able to keep 6 in the box, I think that Deshaun Watson is going to have a hard day. The only way I can see him getting out of it is if Nick Chubb starts to get some real good runs off, and now I'm allocating the extra Dax Hill to the box, or I'm allocating the extra defender to help in run support.
I also add in there the Lou Father versus Deshaun Watson. I love that matchup for sure with the Bengals defense going against them. How much more do you think this game will mean for Chido returning to the scene of his injury? I think the way dude is built, I think obviously the chess game is crazy. Obviously, he knows how to play against Amari Cooper. I don't think that this is a dude that is going to be shook from something like that. I don't think he's human. I think he's from Wakanda at this point. What about you? How are you feeling about Chido returning back to the scene of his injury?
I think he's one of the rare people where we tell people that, he's special and all these different things. And I don't think they understand, just like his energy, his spirit, everything about him. He's a special player. He really is. And we got a lot of special players, I'm sure, but I think he's like one of the more special persons on the team, honestly. Like being a chess champion, everything that he moves he's a different type of guy. And I think him going back to Cleveland probably, ahead of time will probably, be a little bit emotional. But I think like as he goes in, I think Lou Father, or as I call him Lou Dini, I think Lou Dini like kind of gives him like a little bit of relaxation to not put so much on his plate. I honestly want to see, do they put, in my mind, I would disrupt the timing of Amari Cooper. And I think Cam Taylor-Britt is so physical at the line of scrimmage. If you could get enough pressure up front, I honestly would put Cam Taylor-Britt on Amari Cooper if it were me. And then Awuzie, I would let him kind of stay on his side or his quadrant or whatever with safety help, and then you mixing in some man concepts in there too with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Get him out there running. Don't let Dax Hill step over top. Like give him some stuff that doesn't put him in press man situations where he's cutting hard like early in the season. And I might limit the reps too and give DJ Turner, like if I got 18 to 20 something reps from him in a that would be a low scoring game, I'm guessing. But like say it's like 20 something, 30 reps total. I might give like 8 of those on the outside of DJ Turner, get Awuzie on the side, talk to him for a second. How you feel? Feel good to be back, right? All right. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those things. So
Nah, I feel you. I can see them doing that, kind of slowly integrating him back into the defense. Let's flip it to the offensive side. Let's talk about some of our favorite matchups that we like for the Bengals on offense. The fear of the Orange Planet, that starts on the offense. Talk to the people about your matchups that you like on offense.
I think, the Migos is always a thing. But I'm telling you, I'm here to test, and we've talked about this all week in Spaces. I'm here to test the run defense that was 25th in the National Football League in the 2022 season. Now, that doesn't mean you get married and you stick to runs if they're not hitting early on, because they're a mini potent team. It's like, if you play the Chiefs or something like that, runs ain't hitting, is number 9 time. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get points on the board. The Browns, to a certain extent, are like that. I think Joe Mixon, we don't talk about his success against the Browns much. If he has 160 yards or something, I was reading, or we made this graphic earlier in the week. I think I made another time. I mean, bro, he would have 1,000. He averages 117 yards per game, like playing the Browns, bro. So like, that's a guy that always gets off. He averages 5 yards a carry playing the Browns. I want to test that out. If it's not successful, I need to mix in a little bit of Travion, mix in maybe a Chris Evans run or two, find out who's got a hot hand. But they cannot get away from the run. The only way they could get away from the run, to me, is if they're down by 2 scores and now it's number 9 got to cook. And even in that scenario, I'm going to ask you what quarter is, because if it's second quarter, I'm still trying to run the football. The only flip side, and this is a Joe Burrow thing. This is the Joe Burrow has the keys to the Ferrari now. If he does see single coverage, you got to air it out. And that's the other part. It's like, if they're going to show you single high looks, safety, and then playing the middle quadrant of the field, pre-snap, and I got Jamar Chase, I mean, I can't deviate from that. So that's the other part of the chess match. I just think going into the game, I'm calling it 52-48 run versus pass. As it goes through, it might end up being 60-40, in favor of pass, but that's just predicated on what they're showing me.
Yeah, I'm going to go and stay in the trenches as well on this one. I'm going to go with Alex Kappa. I think whoever his matchup is, I think he's definitely going to be able to do his thing. I thought that he was the best offensive lineman on the Bengals before they brought in Orlando Brown Jr., but I'm going to flip it to another person. Obviously, we know that Uno is there. T. Higgins, right? He hasn't had a super crazy game against the Browns. I think that this could be one of those times. I mean, he's been going off in training camp this entire season. If they are thin at wide receiver, I think that T. Higgins is a guy that could definitely step up and do his thing. He's going to go against Martin Emerson, who is a heck of a corner himself. But I think that there will be situations where he could potentially be on a Denzel Ward or be on a Greg Newsome. And I think that T. Higgins will definitely be able to take advantage of some of those guys. And then the other one is Irv Smith. I know you've talked about it a little bit in spaces. A lot of people are sleeping on Irv Smith. If he's able to get out there and get out there against a Greg Delpit or somebody like that, I think that he can definitely do some things himself as well. So Irv Smith, I think, is another Grant Delpit. I think he can definitely do some things against that secondary.
They were bragging about Grant Delpit having like over 100 tackles. The reason why he has 100 tackles or whatever is because they were a liability in the run game. So he had to stop a lot of runs.
For sure. The Bengals tweeted out the next gen stats with Tyler Boyd the last game. Do you think this is a Irv Smith kind of Tyler Boyd game?
I'm gonna tell you this: if Denzel Ward, I don't know if he plays, big Irv Smith, big Tyler Boyd game, because that's the matchup. Now at that point, now Newsome and Emerson are on the outside. And I think if you're a Browns fan, you feel confident with that. But Tyler Boyd against like McLeod or whoever they choose to put in the slot, I'm taking full advantage of that. Irv Smith out, like whether it's in the flats or stretching the seam. I just think I don't think they would have an answer for that at all. I think, Joe, in the scenario that you were giving in our last show about Burrow going like 4, I was rewatching and I actually read an article from the Ringer, and Tyler Boyd was giving a count on how the Falcons. Y'all remember the game where Tyler Boyd hits the seams? They're in cover too, but he hits the seams and he does like this motion. The guy falls down on the ground. Tyler Boyd, then the safety's on the ground, and then boom, it's house.
Right.
I could see that he's one of those guys. It was somebody put out something that said T. Higgins might be the most underrated wide receiver in football. I think it's Tyler Boyd. As a route runner, the same way they talk about Amari Cooper or whoever you like, you need to talk about Tyler Boyd in that breath. Does it mean that he's better than Amari Cooper? It depends on what you like. But I feel like Tyler Boyd throughout this whole tenure, and Mike Hilton, Chancellor Britt, they've even gone on powers and said bro, all of them dudes is crazy. And they always talk about Tyler Boyd. Underneath, he just has these things, and I'm not comparing him to Cooper Kupp, but he has some moves that he's savvy. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's so quick out of his breaks. He's so quick in those option routes that for a guy that doesn't primarily play in the slot, that's a tough cover for anybody. We saw that in the AFC Championship game from McDuffie before Tyler Boyd got hurt. 2 catches, McDuffie's on the ground, 40-something yards, just like that. And that's how the Bengals offense goes, and Joe Burrow finds him.
For sure. And, you know, they've been talking a little bit about their safety having 100 tackles. Sometimes that's not a good thing. Sometimes that means that your safety was getting beat. Sometimes that means that, you know, that's not always a good thing. I don't know if that's the flex that they really think that it is. But speaking of the next segment, and speaking of flex, we're going to talk about fantasy football. We're going to talk about your start, your sit, and your sleeper. For me, let's start out with the start. I think the player that you want to start this Sunday, I'm going to go with number 9, man. I'm going to stand on my 10 toes on what I said. I think number 9 is going to come out firing on all cylinders. I think that he has a point to prove against this defense, against a team that he struggled with before. He hasn't really struggled, so I don't want to say he struggled statistically, but he struggled in the win column against them. I think he wants to make a statement, and I think that he's going to come out and inspire his team in this game. So I'm starting Joey B. Who you starting?
I'm going to go Uno. I think that his focus, it's just like the 120 was like, you know, you remember that Bow Wow video? He'd be like, don't make me tap, you know, like that. You ever remember? Hey, look, but anyway, funny meme. But I feel like the 120 wasn't the, you know what I mean? It was just the, you know, and I could see him going crazy on them dudes, bro. Like, I don't think I remember when he had the thing to his hip, and I know his dad wouldn't mind me saying this. That was a game that they 100%, because that all season, them Brownies was talking, or I'm sorry, them L's was talking real crazy. And I just thought that he was really looking forward to that game. And then you fast forward to now, the locker room, he's like all that hooping and hollering because he's so tired of everybody saying that. And I was telling y'all in the spaces one day, I said, I feel like Browns fans don't realize it because they've only seen him twice. And then the second time that they see him, it might have felt, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't tell grown people how to feel, but that just wasn't enough for him. 120 wasn't enough. Might have to give him 150, might have to give him 180, 2 tutties or something this time. And it could happen like that. It might be T. Higgins. Like, you know, it could be another head top, T. Higgins over top of Emerson. It could be any of those things. But I think that, you know, when they first said that on site and then they had the interview with B. Marshall and them, or was that with Ryan Clark and them? It was one of them. I thought I get them mixed up because remember they split at one point. But when they had to sit down, you know, they said that was one that they looking for. And I think they still feel that same exact way. It's like, yeah, let's go get him. And if they feel that way, Joe B, like that's a quick little, hey, look, let's go get him today type thing. And Joe B ain't gonna back down and he gonna ride with him. So they say they want to go, man. Let's go.
All right. So if you on the flip side of that, what's a player for the Bengals in fantasy that you would sit?
For the Bengals.
Yeah. Who would that be?
If Denzel does play, I'm a sit Boyd. Okay. Because I'm a sit Boyd. How about you? What do you think?
This is a tough one, man. I'm almost gonna say
I don't like we're just you got to say a man guy. You can't say
say a man guy. You can't.
You can't say no T.
Williams.
Yeah, you can't say no Trent Irwin or not like that.
All right.
You're starting Burrow.
I'm gonna say one to sit until we see it. Even though I think you could possibly say that this guy is also. This is tough. This has to be an offensive player.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be because you got a fantasy defense. I would sit the Bengals defense
Stop
and
trying to
special
take the
teams in
easy.
this one. I would sit the Bengals defense because I feel like you got some other options out there. Like I hate to say this because this is nasty work, but if you have the Ravens versus like the Texans, I'm starting them and I'm sitting the Bengals defense / special teams. That's what I would do.
I am in real life. I am sitting the Bengals defense. I'm playing the Jaguars defense versus the Colts. Like I have the Bengals defense in my fantasy, but I just feel like that's the weirdness. You follow the money line, and we're going to get into the betting stuff later. But if you follow, like this is a wonky game. It's division.
Yeah,
It's the Browns. The history is there, so I get it. Like it's a weird game from a betting standpoint. We're going to get into that soon, I'm sure, but it's a tricky game to put some money on. I'll tell you that.
it is for sure. What about a sleeper? Who you got? I think we probably got the same guy as sleeper.
Irv.
Who's your sleeper? Yep.
I think Irv. Swervo. I think Swervo is a guy. People always talk about, man, if he stays healthy, well, goddamn it, he's 100% right now. And I just feel like right now, Joe Burrow, he reminds me of what people thought Thaddeus Moss was. And I just think that Joe Burrow is going to love going to him. I really do. I think he adds so much more than what Hayden Hurst or Uzomah did. And I think people, especially when you talk about routes going vertical, and if they can hit some of that stuff, it will change this season. If they can hit him on seam routes, I've stressed that so much this all season. If they can do that, it's going to change the offense and it's going to take the league by storm. That is one of the biggest keys in this offense, because if they hit on those and he walks out of a game with like 90 yards and a tutty, and he got a lot of it like stretching the middle of the field, causing conflict from the safeties, the following week, you're going to see safeties start to, jump down on some of that stuff. Now it's too late. Chase and T are out. You know what I mean? Like that is a big deal for me this season. So I think early on he's going to be looking for Irv, like on some of them key third downs. I don't know if there's a prop bet or something we could do, like first down. I think the first down is going to go to Irv Smith.
Yeah, I think Irv Smith is a good one. I'm going to say Evan McPherson. Evan McPherson is my sleeper in this game because with it being a divisional game, it could be pretty close, and this could be a game where you have to take your three, and he might get some 50-yard field goals in this game, and I think he's a valuable member, especially in fantasy. If you need a kicker, Evan McPherson. I think if this game is close, I think that Evan McPherson could be a big factor there. So I'm gonna go with Money Mac, man. Give me Money Mac. I'm gonna take Joe Burrow. I'm gonna sit the defense, and I'm gonna take Money Mac. But switching to some of the prop bets, you kind of mentioned some of that. Here are some of the prop bets that we have for Sunday. So let's start with our main man Mixon, over or under 56.5 rushing yards. This seems like free money, bro.
I'm gonna take the over on that, bro. I really like, based off of what I've just said, like early on, we talking about the graphic and everything like that. I'm taking the over. He's averaging over 80 something, I think, like per. So like, yeah, I'm taking. And if he
go ahead.
I was just saying the overall when I said that earlier too, the 117, that's overall when on that graphic. So man, when Mixon is on and they give him carries against the Browns, he has a field game. Some of his best games have been against the Browns. I'm taking the over.
I think that Mixon could get that easily in this game. And the reason I feel like why is because of Orlando Brown and Cordell Volson on the left side. They could have some huge runs, especially if they plan on running at Myles Garrett that way. Dude could have like a couple 20 yards. I think he broke like a 20 or 30-yard run in the last game that they played. That would get you majority of your stuff there. He could have that in the first half, in my opinion. So I would definitely take the over on that one for sure. This next one is interesting, though, and it's Tyler Boyd over or under 32.5 receiving yards. This one is tough because obviously whenever they had amigos, there's sometimes a game plan. Sometimes they go to certain people. I'm going to take the over on Tyler Boyd for the 32.5 receiving yards. And I'm going to do that because if Denzel Ward is out of this game and Greg Newsome has to move to the outside, whoever is in that slot is getting cooked. If it's Cam Mitchell, whoever it is, they're getting cooked. Yeah, or McLeod, they're getting cooked. What are your thoughts? Like, are you taking the over or under on
I'm
Tyler Boyd?
I'm gonna take the over regardless,
Mhm.
and it might be close if Denzel plays. But if Denzel Ward doesn't play, hammer that. That's the one matchup that I just feel like Joe Burrow and company is gonna say, okay, we got their two best corners on the outside. None of them dudes, I don't care what you say, none of them dudes is hanging with Tyler Boyd in the slot. And no, like, I don't know if their starting talent can hang with Tyler Boyd in the slot. Like,
Facts.
Newsome and Denzel are best on the outside. It's good, and I think they're really good corners. They have the ability to go inside, which makes them really good. That's what makes them, to me, where you got to pay attention to them a lot more. But
sure.
that's not what they do best. And I just think that they get over 30 something in. If there's no Denzel, I'm gonna tell you right now, I think Tyler Boyd gets 90 plus. I really do. That's the one matchup. And how I know the AFC Championship game looked just like that. It looked just like that, where they were like, we're gonna double up on the outside. Joe Burrow early in that game, go watch that game. He picked that one-on-one matchup over and over again, and he did it. Had the guy on the ground and everything. Tyler Boyd is a problem in the slot, bro.
Definitely a problem. Headed into a contract year this season too, which a lot of people haven't talked about. Then he also, like you said, went down the last time we saw him, so he could be out for revenge and to make a big splash in his first game. The next one, they're calling this guy generational, man. I don't know if I agree with that. Nick Chubb, over or under 75.5 rushing yards. What are you taking in this game?
I'm gonna take the over. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna take the over. It's Nick Chubb. I'm sorry. I'm gonna take the over on it. Yeah, I'm gonna take the. I'm not gonna elaborate too much. I'm gonna take the over.
So this is 75.5.
Last time we saw him, he only had 34 yards. Now I will say that.
I don't want to, just to be a contrarian, I think Nick Chubb is an amazing back. I think one of the big parts of the game plan, though, is trying to stop him. The other thing I wonder that I haven't seen yet from Cleveland is them being able to play balance, right? Like, can they play balanced football with Deshaun Watson? Do they want to pass it or do they want to run the ball? I think if they get down early in this one, potentially, especially kind of like they did in the last game, that could take Nick Chubb out of the game, out of the game itself. So I'm gonna say this: I think Nick Chubb goes under, which I think is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna take the under because I feel like the Bengals are gonna be laser focused on trying to eliminate him. DJ Reader, we saw what he did last game. I don't think it's a disrespect to Nick Chubb saying that because I think that they'll key in on him. So I'm going to take the under because I don't want us to just pick the same thing. So I'm going to take the under on Nick Chubb. Let's see how we do it. Nick Chubb is a dog.
I'm going to just tell you, week one, I just think that the offense is moving so much faster than the defense generally. That's why you usually have like wide open week ones. And the tackling is like a big emphasis, like it's got to be a big emphasis week one. And you made a great point. If the Bengals can get a good lead, then you can take them off the field. But I do think that this season they're going to try to throw to Nick Chubb a little bit more. So that's something.
They could, but this is rushing yards. This is rushing yards.
Right. I just want to throw that nugget out there that I think they'll give them more attempts like throwing. I think they're going to attempt to throw to him about 4 or 5 times, which is a little bit higher than what I think they normally would. Look for Nick Chubb to play some more third downs than what they normally would because Kareem Hunt normally would have took the brunt of that work. So
for sure,
that's crazy. Kareem Hunt still isn't on the NFL team. But
that is crazy. I thought he was waiting for offers, and I thought he was better than Joe Mixon. Apparently, that's what Browns fans told us. But
right,
yeah, that's not cooking. But let's toss it to the people that cook. Midwest best barbecue.
Keep us up
right. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue. And they actually have a major event going on this Saturday. They will be participating in the Joe Burrow Foundation event this Saturday, 9/9. Stop in, get some great food. A lot of the donations is going to go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Foundation to help people in Ohio and all over. So do it. I mean, why not? Get some gritties, get some Uno wings, hit your gritty, do something for a good cause. You can get the brisket fries. You can tell them Ace and Zim sent you. If you haven't been to Midwest Best Barbecue, I'm going to tell you this. The food is amazing. If I could get there on Saturday, best believe I would be there. They also have ice cream as well. They've got G-Funk wings, all of these different flavors. Definitely be sure to check them out. That's going to be Saturday, the 9th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., 669 Justice Court. Show up, show out. It's going to be for a great cause, and it's going to be for some great food. So definitely be sure to stop by there and check them out. And don't forget to let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Yes, Ohio Lakers. They have the sour cream and onion wings too. You can go ahead and get those as well if y'all have had those. If you haven't had them, get a whole spread. Try all of the flavors because they are all good. So shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue. Shout out to Tim and Nicole. We appreciate y'all. But let's talk about the game tonight in less than 10 minutes. The NFL season is going to kick off here with the Lions versus the Chiefs. I don't know. I think that this has been a topic for some reason in our Bengal spaces. I almost want to call it Lions Daily now because there's been a lot of Lions love in the spaces. For me, I had the Chiefs when they had 100% of a healthy team and a Chris Jones and with a Travis Kelce. Now with Travis Kelce, it being announced that he's not in the game, I think that gives Detroit a chance. But I feel like there's a lot of people putting Detroit up before they've actually proved it. But what are your thoughts on like tonight's game? Who do you think comes out with the victory, or what do you think the strategy will be, or are you excited for the kickoff of real football?
I'm really excited for the kickoff. We're like 10 minutes away or so. I'm really excited for the game. I think it's going to be a big scoring game. I really do. I still got Chiefs, man. I just think that Pat Mahomes in prime time being able to, Jared Goff he isn't trash, but this is a big moment, big game. Guys haven't played. The speed of the game early in the season, you'll notice that before guys settle in, you catch a lot of teams off guard and stuff like that. And I think Andy Reid will just be able to cue up some stuff. There's going to be so much talk about whatever wide receiver goes. There's going to be a wide receiver for the Chiefs that gets like 100+ yards, and they're going to be like, look out, bro. This is like, it's just going to go crazy, and I'm ready for it but if you think about it, it literally has to be because there's nobody else out there. So, like, somebody's got to get numbers, but of course, I'm rooting for the Lions. I just can't see it. I don't know if y'all seen Pat Mahomes, like, week 1 since he's, like, been in the league. It's insane. Like, it's
an Arrowhead.
People say banner night and all that. I don't really pay too much attention. I just think about like early in the season, primetime game, better teams just win in primetime games generally because that moment and the speed of it, the lights, the nighttime is just different than a settled down 1 o'clock game. It's just a different atmosphere. And I think that goes all for the Chiefs. And like you just said, they're at home. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of teams traveling on the road, don't forget to hit up our partners at Fans of Cincy if you're looking forward to traveling this upcoming season for the Bengals. Fansofcincy.com. Go to there to book your trip now. They're going to make sure that you get your flight taken care of, any travel to the game, your hotel room, food. They're also going to do these tailgates where if you already have your travel planned to the game, but you want to be around Bengals fans, you want to be at an open bar, you want to go to a food buffet based off of these different destinations, hit them up. They're going to be in Arizona this year. They'll be in Florida. They're going all over the place. Last year, at one point, they stayed at a hotel off of the beach when we played Tampa. You got San Francisco this season. So if you want to make those trips, definitely go ahead and head over to fansofcincy.com. You can get either the tailgate ticket or the whole package. I would prefer the entire package because you're going to get everything paid for after a deposit of just $200. You can reach out to their support team. If you have any questions or concerns, our man Deuce go over there and be able to get you situated. But take the difficulty out of it. Go to fansofcincy.com, hit it up. They're going to do all kinds of stuff, and you can find that at fansofcincy.com. All right, so we are going to be doing this show every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please be sure to tap in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you need your Fear of the Orange Planet merch, get that at zemhude.com. Definitely be sure to run that up. I've already seen people wearing that on the timeline. That's fire. Make sure that you share this podcast. That helps us. And definitely leave a review because you can get a Lou Father shirt or something that we're going to give away. So I did see you guys give us some reviews. So we appreciate that. Keep doing that because we will pick random people. And if you're on YouTube, definitely hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. We might pick one of y'all too. So definitely be sure to tap in. We appreciate you guys. Next time we see you guys will be after the Battle of Ohio. We're going to be tapped in. So definitely make sure that you're checking out the Wincinnati podcast and our network because Jake and mine are going to be coming at you guys tomorrow. So definitely be sure to stay tuned in with the content. And Zim, it looks like we have a super chat here from Pre-Caller. Appreciate that for $5. Thanks for the top.
Appreciate you, bro.
Fellas, who they, broski. Zim, did you have any thoughts before we get up out of here?
We're gonna have a fun season. Let's get ready to roll. Let's get it. Super Bowl or bust. I ain't turning back now. Let's get it. Cincinnati.
Let's get it. Yes, sirski.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm AC.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not gonna stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still gonna give you the same AJ.
I'm gonna work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I gotta get you a top 5 receiver. Better, man.
Joe Burrow, watch out for us.